Mmm. Nothing like a little household degreaser for that glass skin finish. And for hydration, plasticizer essence. Gorgeous. If that gave you a visceral reaction, good. Your intuition is working because some ingredients inside everyday skincare and even so-called clean skincare really aren't that far off. And if your immune system is already on high alert, like mine was, this stuff doesn't just irritate, it activates and exhausts your skin. Let's talk about what's actually going on. Hi, I'm Olga, founder of Lumera Morel. I lived through autoimmune chaos, inflammation, mystery rashes, anxiety, thyroid imbalance, all of it. And no one told me the products I was slathering on myself twice a day might be quietly nudging my body into defense mode. I don't create beauty products to make faces shiny. I create them because I believe healing can begin with how we touch our skin, what we feed it, and what we refuse to burden it with. You're not sensitive, you're responsive. Your body is intelligent, and your skin, being your biggest organ, is too. And it remembers nature. My wake-up moment, one day, I casually flipped over a cleanser I'd been using twice a day and saw BHT. I Googled it, and turns out it's a fuel preservative and a rubber stabilizer. And it was in my face wash. I remember thinking, how did I get to a place where I'm rubbing chemical shelf life into my pores before breakfast? That moment changed me, not out of fear, but out of responsibility to myself, out of curiosity and out of respect, really. Because I was spending a lot of money on these products and they were delivering things that were harmful. The popular rule that people go by that we rarely hear about is if your grandmother can't recognize it as something meant for skin, she didn't wake up and coat herself in endocrine disruptors like petroleum derivatives and synthetic scent cocktails. She used tallow, she used herbs, mushrooms, honey, radishes, plants. Not perfection, it was simplicity from the garden. Not stripping, but supporting. Not anti-aging, but pro-life. Your skin is an organ, our biggest one, and organs don't need perfume. They need balance. Why this matters is because we obsess about what we eat, truly. But what we absorb through our skin, not so much. But up to 60% of topical ingredients can enter the bloodstream. Most women apply 12 products before noon. That's over 130 ingredients a day. Our skin isn't a wall, and it's a living, breathing organ. And many of us, myself included, learned that lesson the hard way. The 5 ingredients to avoid, and that we definitely avoid in Lumera Morel products, and we're keeping this simple, ingredients that you can actually read, and replacements that you feel comfortable pronouncing and selecting. First one, parabens. Why we should avoid them? Because they're hormone disruptors. They're also microbiome disruptors. And they're used extensively in lotions, creams, shampoos. Choose instead fermented preservatives and ingredients like magnolia bark extract. Then we have fragrances. Even though I love this one, I don't want to put it and rub it into my skin. Why avoid them? Because they hide 3,000 plus synthetic chemicals that trigger irritation and endocrine imbalance. And it's used in everything basically that we use on our skin for the most part. But instead, it's best to use essential oils, but even better CO2 extracts. Fragrance-free options are better. Then we have PEGs, ethoxylated ingredients. And why to avoid them is because they're barrier disruptors and they're a contamination risk. And they're used in cleansers, serums, lotions, etc. So instead, it's better to use fermented emulsifiers like coconut-based surfactants that make things soapy. Then we have silicones, and why we want to avoid them is because they trap bacteria, they clog and suffocate reactive skin, and they're used often in primers, moisturizers, serums. So instead, better to use things like tremella mushroom, hyaluronic acid, squalane, jojoba esters, etc. Then we have BHT and BHA, and those have been shown to be endocrine disruptors and inflammation triggers in mice. And they're used a lot in moisturizers, often in clean formulas, in lipsticks. Instead, it's better to use like rosemary extract, vitamin E, mushroom antioxidants like chaga, reishi. And why this is allowed is because the EU has banned 1,300 plus cosmetic chemicals, but the US just 11. So Big Beauty optimizes for shelf life and margins, not for mitochondria or hormones. So Real Clean Beauty almost always starts with someone who lived the problem, not a boardroom trying to greenwash marketing copy, you know? So this isn't about fear, it's about power. You don't need to memorize every chemical. You don't need to become a biochemist. But to return to simplicity is basically choosing ingredients that feel wholesome, that feel aligned with your values, and natural formulas that work with your body, not against it. If you wouldn't eat it, don't absorb it on your skin. And if you can't pronounce it, question it. If your grandmother wouldn't recognize it, pause and think, should you choose this product? I'm building Lumera Morel for skin impacted by stress, hormones, and autoimmune imbalances, using mushrooms, wild botanicals, and science-backed actives. If this resonates with you, subscribe for weekly regenerative skin education. Tell me in the comments, what ingredients did you cut from your skincare routine and why? And join the waitlist for our first launch in early 2026. Your skin isn't fragile, it's wise. And it deserves support, not chemicals disguised as care. Let's raise the bar for what beauty means. Back in 2015, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, a time filled with fear, loss, and so many unanswered questions. I refused to give up my thyroid or my hope, and through years of holistic healing, deep stress work, and nature-based restoration, I've been medication-free and Graves-free for years now. As I continue this journey, I'll be sharing what helped me heal, from emotional balance to the power of natural medicine, so others can find their way back to wholeness too.